Shadows of Oz. A twisted retelling of The Wizard of Oz. Chapter 1. The Storm Within. The wind howled outside Dorothy's window as dark clouds gathered ominously in the sky. She could feel a chill creeping up her spine, whispering of the storm that was about to unleash its fury upon the land. Dorothy had always possessed a vivid imagination, but lately, her dreams had been more haunting than ever before. She lived with her Aunt Em and Uncle Henry on a desolate farm, surrounded by fields that seemed to stretch endlessly. The farm was a place of toil and hardship, where the weight of sorrow and loss hung heavy in the air. Ever since her parents' tragic demise, Dorothy had been plagued by nightmares that seemed to blur the line between reality and fantasy. As the storm drew nearer, Dorothy's anxiety grew, mirroring the restlessness within her heart. The foreboding presence of the tornado stirred something deep within her, a strange mix of fear and curiosity that propelled her toward the window, her gaze fixed on the brewing tempest. And then, with a force that shook the very foundations of her world, the tornado descended upon the farm. Dorothy clung to the doorframe, her knuckles turning white with the strain, as the world around her was swallowed by chaos. The shrieking wind carried away everything familiar, everything she had known. As if trapped in a twisted nightmare, Dorothy found herself inside the belly of the tempest, her surroundings distorted and surreal. The house spun wildly, threatening to tear apart at any moment. Fear consumed her, but she held on tightly, hoping against hope that she would survive this macabre dance with nature's fury. Just as quickly as it had come, the storm subsided. Dorothy staggered out of the wreckage, her eyes adjusting to a scene that defied reason. She stood in a strange and distorted version of her once familiar landscape. The skies were a sickly shade of gray, and the fields that had once held promise now lay barren and lifeless. Dorothy's heart sank as she realized she was no longer in Kansas. The realization of her displacement sent shivers down her spine. But there was no time to dwell on her fate, for before her stood a path made of yellow bricks, stretching into the distance. It seemed to beckon her forward, promising answers in a land unlike anything she had ever known. With a mixture of trepidation and a flicker of hope, Dorothy took her first step onto the foreboding yellow brick road. Little did she know that her journey would be fraught with darkness and peril, and the twisted inhabitants she would encounter would test her resolve in unimaginable ways. As Dorothy ventured deeper into this desolate and haunting realm, she could not shake the feeling that the storm that had brought her here had merely been a prelude. The real storm, she sensed, was building within her own soul, ready to unleash its power and reveal the true nature of the land she had entered. And so, with her heart pounding in her chest, Dorothy pressed on, unaware of the chilling encounters and twisted revelations that awaited her on this harrowing journey through the shadows of Oz. Chapter 2. The Twisted Yellow Brick Road. Dorothy's footsteps echoed eerily as she set foot upon the ominous yellow brick road. The once vibrant path had now become cracked and worn, its bright hue faded to a sickly shade of yellow. The very air seemed to thicken with an unsettling energy, as if the road itself was alive, pulsating with dark intentions. As Dorothy ventured forward, the trees that lined the path twisted and contorted, their branches reaching out like skeletal fingers. Their leaves rustled with an eerie whisper, an otherworldly chant that seemed to warn her of the dangers that lay ahead. A cold breeze brushed against her cheek, carrying with it a haunting melody. The distant sound of laughter filled the air, but it was not the laughter of joy or mirth. It was a chilling, deranged laughter that sent shivers down her spine. Dorothy's heart quickened its pace, her senses on high alert as she navigated through this macabre landscape. With each step, the path seemed to stretch endlessly before her, its destination obscured by a thick fog that blanketed the horizon. Strange shapes lurked within the mist, their distorted forms teasing her from the periphery of her vision. Dorothy's grip tightened on Toto's leash as she mustered the courage to face the unknown. As she continued, the road twisted and turned, leading her into a dense forest. The gnarled trees loomed overhead, their branches intertwining like a tangled web, blocking out the already dim light. The once cheerful chirping of birds was replaced by an unnerving silence, broken only by the occasional hushed whispers that seemed to emanate from the shadows. Dorothy's heart raced as she became acutely aware of eyes watching her from the darkness. She couldn't shake the feeling of being hunted, of being a trespasser in this wicked realm. The path ahead seemed to narrow, closing in on her, as if the very land conspired to keep her trapped within its clutches. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the gloom. It was the Scarecrow, or at least a twisted version of him. His stitched face contorted into a grotesque smile as he swung from a low-hanging branch. His straw-stuffed body twitched and convulsed, as if each hay-filled limb had a mind of its own. "Dorothy, my dear," the Scarecrow hissed, his voice a blend of mockery and madness. "You've come to find the Great Wizard, haven't you? But what do you seek, little girl? Knowledge? Answers? Oh, I've been down that road, and it leads to nowhere but pain and endless thirst." Dorothy's heart pounded in her chest, her breath catching in her throat. She had hoped to find her dear friend, the Scarecrow, but this twisted version was nothing but a nightmarish reflection. She mustered her courage and took a step backward, but the path behind her had vanished, swallowed by an impenetrable darkness. The deranged Scarecrow swung down from the branch, landing with an unsettling thud. His glowing eyes fixated on Dorothy, and a malicious grin spread across his stitched lips. "There's no going back, my dear," he crooned, his voice dripping with malevolence. "You're here now, trapped in the darkness, just like the rest of us. Join me, and together we can embrace the madness." Fear surged through Dorothy's veins, but deep within her, a spark of determination flickered. She would not succumb to this nightmare. With a trembling voice, she shouted, "I will not be swayed by your twisted desires, Scarecrow." Chapter 3: Encounter with the Mad Scarecrow. Dorothy's defiant words hung in the air, challenging the Scarecrow's deranged proposition. The twisted creature's glowing eyes narrowed, his straw-stuffed body contorting with anger. The forest around them seemed to hold its breath, as if anticipating the outcome of this confrontation. The Scarecrow's unsettling grin faded, replaced by a dark scowl. "Stubborn little girl," he hissed, his voice dripping with venom. "You think you can resist the allure of knowledge? You will learn soon enough that there is no escape from the thirst that consumes us all." As if summoned by his words, the air grew heavy with an oppressive silence. The forest seemed to come alive, its twisted branches and gnarled roots snaking towards Dorothy, threatening to ensnare her in their grasp. Panic surged through her, but she refused to let fear immobilize her. Summoning her inner strength, Dorothy took a step forward, her voice filled with determination. "I seek the truth, Scarecrow, but not at the expense of losing my sanity. There must be a way to quench your thirst for knowledge without succumbing to the darkness. Help me find that path, and together we can break free from this twisted nightmare." The Scarecrow's gaze wavered for a moment, uncertainty flickering behind his glowing eyes. His stitched lips curled into a wicked smile, revealing a glimmer of madness. "Oh, Dorothy," he mused, his voice a blend of wickedness and fascination. "Perhaps you're right. Perhaps there is a way to satiate our desires without losing ourselves completely." A surge of hope ignited within Dorothy's heart. She sensed a flicker of the Scarecrow's former self buried deep beneath the torment, a glimmer of the friend she once knew. She extended a trembling hand towards him, a gesture of trust and empathy. With a sudden burst of movement, the Scarecrow reached out, his straw-stuffed fingers intertwining with Dorothy's. A strange warmth emanated from their connection, a shared understanding that transcended the darkness surrounding them. "The path ahead is treacherous, Dorothy," the Scarecrow warned, his voice laced with both caution and anticipation. "But together, we may find a way to navigate its twists and turns. Let us push forward, united in our quest for redemption and understanding." With newfound determination, Dorothy and the Scarecrow continued their journey along the twisted yellow brick road. The forest seemed to retreat, its oppressive presence diminishing as they ventured deeper into the heart of this nightmarish realm. As they walked, the Scarecrow shared fragments of his tormented existence, his desperate search for knowledge that had driven him to the brink of madness. Dorothy listened with empathy, recognizing the delicate balance they both sought, the pursuit of enlightenment without losing oneself in the process. Their bond grew stronger with each step, a glimmer of light amidst the encroaching darkness. Together, they would face the horrors that awaited them, armed with their shared resolve and an unyielding spirit. Unbeknownst to them, however, another twisted figure lurked in the shadows, watching their progress with cold, calculating eyes. The mad Scarecrow's alliance with Dorothy presented a threat to the very fabric of this wicked land, and there were those who would stop at nothing to ensure their pursuit of truth would end in despair. And so, as Dorothy and the Scarecrow pressed on, unaware of the lurking danger, the sinister forces of this twisted Oz prepared to unleash their dark machinations. Chapter 4: The Mechanical Heart of Darkness. Dorothy and the Scarecrow pressed forward, their footsteps echoing in the desolate silence. The twisted yellow brick road stretched out before them, leading them deeper into the heart of this nightmarish realm. The air grew colder, and a pervasive sense of foreboding settled upon them like a heavy shroud. As they continued their journey, the haunting melody that had accompanied Dorothy since her arrival in this twisted Oz grew louder. The dissonant notes swirled around them, resonating with an unsettling energy. It seemed to emanate from a source ahead, beckoning them to its malevolent presence. Emerging from the dense shadows, they stumbled upon a dilapidated factory, its skeletal structure barely standing against the encroaching darkness. The machinery within groaned and screeched, a cacophony of discordant sounds that grated on their nerves. The Scarecrow's eyes glowed with a mix of anticipation and apprehension. "This place," he whispered, his voice laden with a sense of sorrow. "This is where my quest for knowledge led me astray, where my desperation to understand tore me apart." Dorothy's heart ached for her companion, the pain etched across his stitched face. She reached out, offering him comfort amidst the haunting industrial symphony. "We will find a way to mend the broken pieces, Scarecrow. Together, we shall overcome the darkness that dwells within." With renewed determination, they stepped into the factory, its interior a labyrinth of rusted gears, broken machinery, and flickering lights. The air was heavy with the acrid stench of oil and decay. It felt as though the very heart of darkness beat within these rusted walls. Amidst the twisted remnants of technology, they encountered a monstrous figure, a metallic monstrosity with gears protruding from its chest and a mechanical visage contorted in perpetual anguish. This was the Tin Man, once a gentle soul seeking a heart, now a tormented creature trapped in an endless cycle of despair. The Tin Man's voice rang out, a haunting symphony of metallic wails. "Dorothy, Scarecrow," he rasped, his words punctuated by the grinding of his mechanical parts. "You should not have come here. This place devours hope and leaves only emptiness in its wake." Dorothy's eyes brimmed with compassion as she gazed upon the tortured figure before her. "We seek to understand, to find a way to break free from the darkness that haunts this land," she implored. "Tin Man, we believe there is a path to salvation, a way to reclaim your lost humanity." The Tin Man's joints screeched as he turned to face them, his hollow eyes filled with a mix of longing and resignation. "Once I yearned for a heart, but now I know the cost of such desires," he muttered, his voice heavy with regret. "The pursuit of love and empathy led me to this wretched existence." Dorothy and the Scarecrow exchanged glances, their determination unwavering. They understood the Tin Man's pain, the torment of misplaced desires. Together, they approached him, their hands outstretched, offering solace amidst the mechanical labyrinth. As their fingertips touched the Tin Man's cold exterior, a surge of energy pulsed through their beings. It was a faint spark, a glimmer of hope amidst the darkness. In that moment, they vowed to find a way to restore the Tin Man's lost humanity, to help him reclaim his true self. And so, within the depths of the mechanical heart of darkness, Dorothy, the Scarecrow, and the Tin Man delved deeper, their resolve strengthening with every step. The twisted machinations of this dark realm would not deter them from their quest for redemption. Little did they know that even greater challenges awaited them as they ventured forth, closer to the heart of the Twisted Oz. Chapter 5: Bloodlust Unleashed the Savage Lion. The group cautiously made their way through the Twisted Factory, its sinister aura weighing heavily on their souls. The air grew thick with the stench of metal and decay, while the oppressive darkness seemed to whisper malevolent secrets. As they ventured deeper into the labyrinthine corridors, the tortured cries of imprisoned souls echoed through the chamber, intensifying the sense of unease. The Scarecrow's stitched face contorted with anguish, his straw-stuffed body trembling with empathy for those trapped in eternal suffering. Suddenly, a chilling growl reverberated through the room, freezing their blood. The lion, once again consumed by his insatiable bloodlust, prowled before them, his eyes gleaming with an unholy fire. His bestial form seemed larger and more menacing, the manifestation of pure savagery. Dorothy's heart raced, but she refused to succumb to fear. She mustered her courage and addressed the lion, her voice firm but tinged with compassion. "Lion, we know you're tormented, but we won't let you succumb to this darkness. We believe there's a way to quell the bloodlust within you." The lion's snarl sent shivers down their spines, his fangs glistening in the dim light. "You think you can save me?" he snarled, his voice a guttural growl. "You know nothing of the hunger that claws at my insides, the primal desires that consume me. I am beyond redemption." Undeterred, the Scarecrow stepped forward, his straw-stuffed limbs quivering with determination. "Lion, we've faced darkness before," he declared, his voice a fragile whisper. "We've seen the twisted depths this realm can reach. But together, we can find a way to break free from its grasp." A moment of tense silence hung in the air, broken only by the pained cries of the imprisoned souls. The lion's gaze wavered, a flicker of inner turmoil fighting against the savage instincts. He circled the group, his predatory movements sending a wave of apprehension through their ranks. Then, in a sudden surge of ferocity, the lion lunged, his claws slashing through the air. Dorothy and her companions barely evaded his attack, their hearts pounding in their chests. The factory shook under the force of his assault, machinery crumbling in his wake. Summoning her inner strength, Dorothy stepped forward, her voice laced with conviction. "Lion, this violence will only perpetuate the darkness," she cried out, her words echoing in the chamber. "But if you're willing to confront the horrors within, we can help you find a glimmer of light." The lion's eyes widened, his body frozen in mid-strike. His primal instincts clashed with a long-forgotten memory of nobility. Slowly, he lowered himself to the ground, his growls subsiding into heavy breaths. He glanced at the wreckage around him, the torment etched across his face. With a voice filled with vulnerability, the lion spoke, his tone laced with anguish. I don't know if I can be saved," he admitted, his voice tinged with self-doubt. "But I am tired of the darkness. If you truly believe there is a path to redemption, I will follow." Dorothy's eyes shimmered with compassion as she extended her hand toward the lion. "We believe in you, Lion. Together, we will face the horrors that haunt this realm and find a way to reclaim your true self." The lion hesitated for a moment, then slowly reached out, his massive paw gently meeting Dorothy's outstretched hand. In that moment, a flicker of hope ignited within them, the spark of unity pushing back against the encroaching darkness. United once more, the group resumed their journey, determined to confront the enigmatic Wizard of Oz and unravel the twisted secrets that lay within the Emerald City. Little did they know of the trials and terrors that awaited them in the city's heart, as the malevolent forces of this nightmarish realm plotted their ultimate demise. Chapter 6: The Sinister Citizens of Oz. As Dorothy, the Scarecrow, the Tin Man, and the Lion entered the gates of the Emerald City, an eerie silence greeted them. The streets were deserted, devoid of any sign of life. Shadows danced on the walls, twisting and contorting in unsettling patterns. A sense of foreboding settled over the group as they ventured deeper into the heart of the city. They passed through deserted alleys and dilapidated buildings, their footsteps echoing ominously. The once vibrant and colorful city now wore a macabre veil, its beauty corrupted by an unseen darkness. Whispers of forgotten tales and ancient curses whispered in their ears, heightening their unease. Through the broken windows of the buildings, they caught glimpses of figures lurking in the shadows. The citizens of Oz, once joyful and welcoming, now moved with a sinister grace, their eyes glazed over with a haunting emptiness. They watched the group's every move, their twisted smiles sending shivers down their spines. The Scarecrow's stitched face contorted with worry. "Something is not right," he whispered, his voice barely audible. "The citizens of Oz have become mere puppets, their souls trapped in this twisted realm." Dorothy's heart clenched with empathy for the tormented citizens. She knew they needed to find the source of this darkness and put an end to it. With a determined resolve, she led her companions through the maze-like streets, searching for answers. Suddenly, they came upon a dilapidated theater, its doors creaking open invitingly. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of decay, and the walls were adorned with faded posters of performances long forgotten. A stage stood at the center, draped in tattered curtains. Curiosity overcoming their caution, the group cautiously made their way toward the stage. As they stepped into the spotlight, a flickering glow revealed a haunting sight. A row of marionettes, their strings hanging lifelessly, swaying with an otherworldly rhythm. A cold, disembodied voice filled the air, resonating from the depths of the theater. "Welcome, visitors of Oz," it whispered, dripping with malice. "I am the puppeteer, the orchestrator of this twisted symphony." The group exchanged worried glances, their senses heightened as they awaited the puppeteer's next move. Suddenly, the marionettes came to life, their joints creaking as they danced with a macabre grace. Their porcelain faces contorted into sinister smiles, their painted eyes gleaming with a sinister light. Dorothy stepped forward, her voice firm. "Puppeteer, release the citizens of Oz from your grip," she demanded. "Your dark influence ends here." Laughter echoed through the theater, chilling their hearts. "Ah, but my dear, the citizens of Oz have willingly surrendered their souls," the puppeteer hissed. "They crave the twisted pleasures I offer, the allure of eternal darkness. They are forever bound to this realm." With a wave of its hand, the puppeteer sent the marionettes lunging toward the group, their strings slashing through the air like deadly whips. Dorothy and her companions fought back, their courage and determination igniting a fierce resilience within them. In the midst of the chaotic battle, the Scarecrow's gaze fell upon a hidden lever behind the stage. A surge of realization washed over him. "That lever controls the strings," he shouted, pointing toward it. With a swift movement, the Scarecrow lunged toward the lever, pulling it down with all his might. A thunderous crash reverberated through the theater as the marionettes froze, their strings falling limp. The puppeteer shrieked in fury, its voice filled with rage. "You dared to defy me!" it bellowed. "You cannot escape the clutches of this realm." But Dorothy, empowered by the victory over the marionettes, stood tall. "We will free the citizens of Oz," she declared, her voice resolute. "Your reign ends now." With a final cry of defiance, Dorothy and her companions faced the puppeteer head-on, prepared to vanquish this twisted creature and reclaim the city from its suffocating grip. They knew the road ahead would only grow darker, but their resolve burned brighter than ever before. Chapter 7: The Enigmatic Emerald City. As Dorothy and her companions emerged from the haunted theater, they found themselves standing before the grand entrance of the Emerald City. Its majestic walls shimmered with an ethereal green glow, and the massive gates stood open, inviting them inside. A palpable sense of anticipation tinged the air. The group stepped through the gates, their footsteps echoing on the polished cobblestones. The city streets, once barren, were now lined with rows of menacing statues, their stone gazes fixed upon the intruders. Whispers carried on the wind, like eerie echoes of forgotten secrets. The buildings of the Emerald City rose like towering monoliths, their architecture twisted and warped. Windows glimmered with an ominous light, hinting at the dark secrets concealed within. Every corner they turned held the promise of a sinister revelation. Dorothy's heart pounded as they reached the grand palace at the heart of the city. The doors loomed before them, ornate and imposing. They pushed them open, revealing a vast hall bathed in an eerie green glow. Shimmering emerald chandeliers dangled from the ceiling, casting eerie shadows on the marble floor. At the end of the hall, a throne awaited them. Seated upon it was a figure cloaked in darkness, their features obscured. The air grew heavy with tension as the group approached, their eyes fixed on the enigmatic ruler. The figure spoke, their voice a sinister whisper that sent chills down their spines. "Welcome, intruders," it hissed, the words laced with malevolence. "You have come seeking answers, but beware, for the truth is often more terrifying than the lies." Dorothy's voice quivered as she addressed the figure. "Who are you?" she asked, her voice filled with both fear and determination. "What have you done to Oz?" A low, mocking laugh filled the hall as the figure slowly rose from the throne. The darkness seemed to peel away, revealing the face of a twisted being. Its eyes gleamed with an unnatural light, and a wicked grin spread across its face. "I am the illusionist, the embodiment of Oz's deepest fears and darkest desires," it proclaimed, its voice dripping with a mix of amusement and malice. "I have woven a tapestry of illusions, blinding the citizens of this realm to their own true nature." The illusionist raised a hand, and the walls of the hall began to morph and shift. The once magnificent palace twisted and contorted, revealing its true form, a nightmarish labyrinth of corridors and chambers, designed to ensnare those who dared to question its authority. Dorothy's eyes widened with determination. "We will expose your illusions," she declared, her voice resolute. "We will free the citizens of Oz from this twisted web you've spun." With a sudden burst of speed, the illusionist lunged at the group, its movements ethereal and unpredictable. Dorothy and her companions fought back, their weapons clashing against the illusionist's dark magic. Each strike was met with an equally cunning countermove, as if the illusionist could anticipate their every action. The battle raged on, a dance of deception and resolve. The group pushed forward, channeling their strength and unyielding spirit. The illusionists fought with desperate ferocity, but their grip on the illusions began to waver. Finally, with a collective effort, Dorothy and her companions landed a decisive blow, shattering the illusionists' hold over the city. The walls of the palace crumbled, and the green glow faded, revealing the true essence of the Emerald City. Breathing heavily, Dorothy and her companions stood amidst the ruins of the illusionist's domain. The citizens of Oz, freed from the enchantment, began to emerge from the shadows, their eyes filled with confusion and a newfound sense of clarity. Chapter 8: The Secrets of the Dark Wizard. As the dust settled in the wake of the battle with the illusionist, Dorothy and her companions surveyed the now crumbling palace of the Emerald City. The once imposing structure stood as a mere shell, its true nature laid bare for all to see. With cautious steps, they ventured deeper into the heart of the palace, determined to uncover the secrets that lay hidden within. The air grew heavy with anticipation as they passed through chambers filled with ancient tomes, mysterious artifacts, and paintings that seemed to watch their every move. Finally, they reached a chamber adorned with intricate symbols and arcane writings. In the center stood a massive, ornate mirror, its surface shimmering with an otherworldly light. It was here that the answers they sought awaited them. As Dorothy approached the mirror, her reflection began to distort and morph, revealing the face of the enigmatic Wizard of Oz. His voice echoed through the chamber, a mix of weariness and regret. "Welcome, seekers of truth," he said, his tone laden with a weight of hidden knowledge. "You have come far, but the revelations that await you may shatter the very fabric of your understanding." Dorothy's gaze met the wizard's, her eyes filled with a mixture of curiosity and trepidation. "Who are you?" she asked, her voice steady. "What is the meaning behind all of this darkness?" The wizard's expression softened, and he motioned for them to gather closer. "I was once a mere mortal who stumbled upon the realm of Oz," he explained, his voice tinged with remorse. "I sought to harness its power, but my ambitions led me astray. I delved too deep into its mysteries and inadvertently unleashed the darkness that now plagues this land." The group listened intently, their hearts heavy with the weight of the wizard's confession. They had hoped for a savior, but instead, they found a tormented soul burdened by guilt. The wizard continued, his voice filled with a mix of regret and determination. "But I have also discovered a way to set things right," he said. "Deep within the bowels of the palace lies the source of this darkness, the storm crystal. It holds immense power, but it must be destroyed in order to restore balance to Oz." The group exchanged determined glances. They knew that their journey was far from over. They had faced twisted illusions, battled against dark forces, and now they would confront the source of all the turmoil. With the wizard as their guide, they descended into the depths of the palace, navigating through treacherous corridors and facing menacing guardians. At last, they reached the chamber where the storm crystal lay, pulsating with a malevolent energy. The wizard's voice trembled with urgency. "Destroy the crystal, and the darkness will dissipate," he said. "But beware, for the power it wields is not easily vanquished." With a collective breath, Dorothy and her companions stepped forward, determined to face the ultimate test. As they struck the crystal with all their might, a blinding surge of energy enveloped them, threatening to consume their very souls. But their resolve remained unyielding. With every strike, the crystal fractured, its grip on Oz weakening. And in a final blaze of light, the storm crystal shattered, releasing a shockwave that reverberated through the palace and beyond. As the dust settled, the darkness that had plagued Oz began to recede. The citizens emerged from their homes, their eyes bright with newfound hope. The city slowly regained its vibrancy, and the haunting memories of the twisted realm started to fade away. Chapter 9: Confronting the Puppeteer's Shadow. With the storm crystal shattered, the citizens of Oz began to regain their true selves. The sun broke through the dark clouds, casting its warm glow upon the rejuvenated city. But Dorothy and her companions knew that there was still one final threat to be vanquished: the shadow of the puppeteer. Guided by the wizard, the group ventured deep into the forgotten corners of the Emerald City, where the remnants of the puppeteer's influence lingered. The air grew thick with an unsettling energy as they approached an ancient, decrepit theater. Inside, they found themselves standing before a massive mirror, larger and more foreboding than any they had encountered before. Its surface reflected their own distorted images, hinting at the dark power it held. As they drew closer, the mirror trembled, and a chilling whisper slithered through the air. "Welcome, intruders," it hissed, the voice bearing a haunting resemblance to the puppeteer. "You have come to witness the final act." Dorothy's voice rang out, strong and determined. "Puppeteer, show yourself! Release the hold you have over this realm," she commanded. In a swirling vortex of darkness, the puppeteer's figure materialized before them. Its porcelain face bore cracks and fractures, a mirror of the shattered illusions it had spun. Eyes filled with malevolence locked onto Dorothy, its voice dripping with disdain. "You are but insects in my grand design," it sneered. "You cannot comprehend the power I wield." Undeterred, Dorothy stepped forward, her voice resolute. "Your reign ends now, puppeteer," she declared. "We have shattered your illusions and brought light to this darkness." A sinister laughter echoed through the theater as the puppeteer's form shifted. taking on a more monstrous and grotesque appearance. "You think you have one?" it spat. "You have merely played your part in the grand symphony of my shadow." Suddenly, from the depths of the mirror, shadowy tendrils emerged, reaching out with a voracious hunger. Dorothy and her companions fought against the creeping darkness, their weapons slicing through the ethereal tendrils. But the puppeteer's power was formidable. It twisted the very fabric of reality, warping the theater into a nightmarish maze. Hallways shifted and closed off, trapping the group within its clutches. With a surge of determination, the Tin Man, the Scarecrow, and the Lion fought back, their combined strength a beacon of defiance. Dorothy, her gaze unwavering, searched for a weakness in the puppeteer's defenses. And then she saw it, a thin thread connecting the puppeteer's shadow to the mirror. With a swift strike, she severed the thread, severing the puppeteer's hold on the realm. A primal scream erupted from the puppeteer, its form dissipating into a cloud of darkness. The mirror shattered into countless shards, each reflecting the vanquished monster's demise. As the darkness cleared, the group found themselves standing amidst the ruins of the theater. The city of Oz rejoiced, its citizens liberated from the puppeteer's grasp. Their eyes filled with gratitude, they showered Dorothy and her companions with praise. The wizard stepped forward, a hint of sadness in his voice. "You have proven yourselves as true heroes, saving this realm from its darkest hour," he commended. Dorothy smiled, her heart filled with a sense of accomplishment. "It was the strength and unity of our group that brought us victory," she replied. "Together, we have restored balance and hope to Oz." As the group prepared to leave the theater and embark on their final journey home, they carried with them the memories of their trials and triumphs. Oz would forever remember the courageous souls who faced the twisted and dark, and emerged as beacons of light. Chapter 10: Unleashing the Storm Within. With the threat of the puppeteer vanquished, Dorothy and her companions stood on the outskirts of the Emerald City, ready to embark on their journey back home. But as they turned to bid farewell to the citizens of Oz, a sense of unease settled upon them. The storm crystal's destruction had unleashed a new force within Dorothy, one that demanded resolution. Dorothy felt a growing restlessness within her, an inexplicable power coursing through her veins. The storm that once brewed within the crystal had found a new vessel. She knew that if she were to find peace, she had to confront the storm head-on. Gathering her companions, Dorothy explained her decision. "I cannot return home just yet," she said, her voice filled with determination. "There is still a storm within me, a force that needs to be understood and controlled. Only then can I find my way back to Kansas." The Scarecrow, the Tin Man, and the Lion exchanged concerned glances, but they understood the importance of Dorothy's journey. Together, they vowed to support her in discovering the truth behind the storm that raged within her. Guided by the whispers of the wind, they embarked on a treacherous path through the untamed wilderness of Oz. The land itself seemed to mirror Dorothy's inner turmoil, with darkened skies and turbulent weather. The group pushed forward, facing the unknown with unwavering resolve. Days turned into nights, and nights into days as they ventured deeper into the heart of Oz. Along the way, they encountered mystical creatures and encountered trials that tested their strength and conviction. Through it all, Dorothy felt the storm within her intensify, urging her closer to its source. Finally, they arrived at a forgotten temple hidden amidst the dense forest. Its towering walls stood as a testament to forgotten knowledge and ancient power. The air crackled with energy as they stepped inside, the storm within Dorothy reaching its crescendo. As she entered the inner sanctum of the temple, Dorothy found herself surrounded by ancient symbols and inscriptions. A pedestal at the center held a single, shimmering orb, the Eye of the Storm. It pulsed with an otherworldly glow, calling out to her. With trepidation and excitement, Dorothy reached out and grasped the orb. As soon as her fingers touched its surface, a surge of power coursed through her, intertwining with the storm that raged within. Visions flashed before her eyes, memories, fears, and dreams all woven into a tapestry of her existence. In that moment, Dorothy understood. The storm within her was not a curse but a gift, a manifestation of her resilience, courage, and unwavering spirit. It was a force that she could control, channeling it to protect and bring hope to those in need. With newfound clarity, Dorothy turned to her companions, a smile of determination on her face. "I have embraced the storm within me," she announced, "and now I am ready to unleash its power for the good of Oz and beyond." The Scarecrow, the Tin Man, and the Lion nodded in support, knowing that Dorothy had discovered her true purpose. Together, they would face whatever challenges awaited them, armed with the strength of the storm that resided within. Chapter 11: The Battle for Oz. Armed with the newfound power of the storm within her, Dorothy and her companions rallied the citizens of Oz for the ultimate battle against the remnants of darkness that still lingered. The news of Dorothy's transformation spread like wildfire, filling the hearts of the people with hope and determination. The forces of darkness, sensing the rising power, gathered for a final confrontation. A tempestuous sky loomed above as Dorothy led her loyal companions into the heart of the looming storm. Lightning crackled, and thunder roared, echoing the fierce determination within their hearts. The battlefield was set, an open plain where light and shadow clashed. The adversaries emerged from the darkness, an army of twisted creatures led by the remnants of the puppeteer's influence. But Dorothy's presence sparked a fire in the hearts of her comrades, and they charged forward, their weapons glinting in the gloom. The battle was fierce, with clashes of steel and bursts of magic reverberating through the air. Dorothy, her eyes glowing with the storm's energy, unleashed bolts of lightning upon their foes, her strikes finding their marks with precision. The Scarecrow's strategic mind led the charge, devising cunning maneuvers to outwit the enemy. The Tin Man's mighty blade cleaved through ranks of adversaries, his strength unmatched. And the Lion, emboldened by Dorothy's newfound power, roared with such force that it sent tremors through the enemy lines. The citizens of Oz, inspired by the courage and strength of their leaders, fought alongside them with unwavering loyalty. Their determination fueled the storm that coursed through Dorothy, amplifying her abilities to unprecedented heights. As the battle raged on, the storm itself seemed to respond, unleashing torrents of rain and howling winds that buffeted the forces of darkness. Lightning bolts streaked across the sky, striking down those who dared to challenge the might of Oz. In a climactic moment, Dorothy stood at the center of the battlefield, her body illuminated with an ethereal glow. With a gesture of her hand, she summoned the storm's fury, creating a vortex of wind and lightning that engulfed the remaining enemies. Their screams were drowned out by the roaring tempest as they were consumed by its wrath. And then, silence descended upon the battlefield. The storm within Dorothy abated, its purpose fulfilled. The enemies of Oz lay defeated, scattered like broken fragments of a nightmare. The citizens of Oz emerged from the battle, their faces etched with relief and gratitude. Dorothy turned to her companions, a mix of exhaustion and triumph in her eyes. "We have prevailed," she said, her voice filled with pride. "Oz is free once more, thanks to our unity and the storm that resides within." As the people of Oz celebrated their hard-fought victory, Dorothy and her companions stood as symbols of hope and resilience. They had faced unimaginable darkness, confronted their inner demons, and emerged stronger than ever. In the aftermath of the battle, the Emerald City began to rebuild, its streets adorned with vibrant colors and laughter once more. The citizens, grateful for their liberation, looked to Dorothy and her companions with reverence, their faith in a brighter future restored. As the group prepared to depart, Dorothy turned her gaze to the horizon, a bittersweet smile on her face. The storm within her had served its purpose, but now it was time to return home, carrying with her the memories of Oz and the lessons learned. Chapter 12: Restoration and Reflection. With the battle won and peace restored to the land of Oz, Dorothy and her companions took a moment to catch their breath. The citizens of the Emerald City embraced them as heroes, their gratitude overflowing. But amidst the celebrations, Dorothy couldn't shake the feeling of longing for her home in Kansas. The wizard, ever wise, approached Dorothy with a gentle smile. "You have shown great strength and resilience, my dear," he said. "But I understand that your heart yearns for home." Dorothy nodded, a mix of gratitude and sadness in her eyes. "I miss my family, and I long to return to the familiar comforts of Kansas," she confessed. The wizard placed a hand on her shoulder. "Fear not, my child. I have the power to grant your wish," he said. "But before you depart, take this time to reflect on the journey you have undertaken and the person you have become." Dorothy and her companions retreated to a quiet corner of the Emerald City, where they could reflect on their transformative experiences. Each shared their thoughts, recounting the challenges they had faced and the lessons they had learned along the way. The Scarecrow spoke of the wisdom he had gained, realizing that true intelligence wasn't measured by knowledge alone, but by the ability to adapt and learn from one's experiences. The Tin Man spoke of the newfound compassion that had replaced his cold metallic heart, understanding that love and empathy were the true sources of strength. And the Lion shared his journey from cowardice to courage, discovering that bravery came not from the absence of fear but from facing it head-on. Dorothy listened intently, grateful for the bonds she had formed with her companions. Their support and friendship had been the foundation that carried her through the darkest moments of their adventure. As the group's reflections came to a close, they reconvened with the wizard, who had one final gift for Dorothy. He presented her with a pair of sparkling ruby slippers, shimmering with the remnants of Oz's magic. "These slippers," the wizard explained, "will serve as a reminder of the strength and courage you have found within yourself. They will guide you safely back to the embrace of your loved ones." Dorothy slipped the slippers onto her feet, feeling their warmth and power enveloping her. She thanked the wizard for his guidance and bid farewell to her companions, promising to carry the memories of their adventures in her heart. With a final wave and a grateful smile, Dorothy clicked her heels together 3 times. The familiar sensation of magic tingled through her, and in an instant, she was transported back to the quiet plains of Kansas. As Dorothy embraced her family, they marveled at the changes they saw in her. She had grown in ways that words couldn't fully capture. They listened with awe and wonder as she shared tales of Oz, the battles fought, and the friends she had made. And as the sun set over the Kansas horizon, Dorothy looked back at the distant memory of Oz, knowing that the strength, resilience, and love she had discovered there would forever shape the person she had become. Chapter 13: Homecoming. Dorothy settled back into the familiarity of her Kansas home, surrounded by the rolling fields and the gentle breeze that whispered of her adventures in Oz. The memories of her time there remained vivid, imprinted on her heart like pages of a cherished book. She found solace in the love of her family, who embraced her with open arms. They listened attentively as Dorothy recounted her extraordinary journey, her voice filled with a mixture of nostalgia and gratitude. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, as life resumed its normal rhythm. Yet, deep within Dorothy, a part of Oz remained alive, an ember of magic that fueled her dreams and aspirations. Inspired by the courage she had witnessed in herself and her companions, Dorothy sought to make a difference in the world around her. She dedicated her time to charitable causes, helping those in need with unwavering compassion and selflessness. The people of Kansas admired Dorothy's resilience and kindness, and her story spread far and wide, becoming a symbol of hope and the power of the human spirit. Through her actions, she showed them that even in the most ordinary of places, extraordinary things could happen. But Dorothy never forgot the lessons she learned in Oz. She knew that darkness could rise again, and she stood ready to face it if the need ever arose. Her experiences had taught her that courage, love, and unity could conquer even the most formidable of challenges. Years passed, and Dorothy grew into a remarkable young woman, her heart forever tied to the magical land she had left behind. She often wondered about her companions, the Scarecrow, the Tin Man, and the Lion. She imagined their lives, hoping they had found their own happiness and purpose. Then, on a sunny afternoon, as Dorothy walked through a field of wildflowers, a rainbow arched across the sky. In that moment, a gust of wind carried a whisper to her ear, a familiar voice filled with warmth and friendship. Dorothy turned, her heart leaping with joy, and there before her stood her long-lost companions. The Scarecrow, now adorned with a crown of wisdom, the Tin Man, his heart shining with compassion, and the Lion, his roar echoing with courage. Tears of happiness streamed down Dorothy's face as they embraced, the bond between them unbroken by time and distance. They shared stories of their individual journeys, the lives they had touched, and the battles they had faced in the years since parting ways. United once again, they vowed to continue their adventures, seeking new horizons and spreading hope wherever they went. For they knew that the magic of Oz lived not only in a far-off land but within their hearts, a flame that would forever guide them. And so, hand in hand, Dorothy and her loyal companions set off on a new chapter of their lives. They ventured forth, their spirits intertwined, knowing that as long as they had each other, there would always be a place where dreams came true and the light of Oz would shine. The end. Thank you all for joining me on this journey through the twisted retelling of The Wizard of Oz and its dark and suspenseful chapters. This is my first foray into long-form content, and I truly hope you enjoyed it. I poured my heart and imagination into bringing this story to life, and your feedback means the world to me. So, please comment below and let me know how you liked it, what intrigued you the most, or any suggestions you may have. Your support and engagement will inspire me to continue creating more thrilling tales. Stay tuned for future adventures and remember, the power of storytelling knows no bounds. Thank you, and stay twisted.